Welcome back to Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180. We're having more fun during the breaks than we are during the show. Anyways, our in-studio guests are Mark and Cathy Abernathy talking about politics of all things. Imagine that this time of year. So, before we get into the state, and then you had a question on Hostess, let's talk about Romney. Let's finish up the federal
Sure,
stuff. Okay?
Romney.
So, I heard someone call Romney a very weak front runner and a very weak candidate that may be too weak to get independence. What do you think? Is that a fair assessment?
Well, first of all, my pick, whoever runs for the Republican Party is going to win the White House.
I hope so.
Go to Harris and put some money down on it now while you still got good odds.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. But is Romney the best candidate? Does anybody, think that you have your favorite candidate? No. If I could pick my favorite candidate, it's Sarah Palin. Mm-hmm. But if I couldn't have Sarah Palin, who would be my next? Paul Ryan. I just wish Paul Ryan would jump in somewhere and run in one or two or three of these primaries coming up, and I think what would happen, I think, was people would just flock to Paul Ryan. Mm-hmm. And I think he would flavor of the month. Yeah, he would shoot up into the 30s and 40s, but what are you going to knock him down on?
Right.
He doesn't have the baggage that the Gingrich and the rest of them have. Mm-hmm. He would have staying power. He's Newt Gingrich without the baggage. So that I'd like to see that. And we talk about a brokered convention and what could happen if this thing goes on and on into the later primaries. That's something that could happen.
Actually, it could be Ryan, yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably the only way it would happen for Ryan, because he just doesn't want to do the rigor of the campaign and running like that and do what he's doing in Congress. And so that scenario could play out. And you know what's beautiful that would be a total issue campaign, not personalities, because Paul Ryan is a thinker, and that's the beauty of him, and American people want that. And I think
somebody in the White House thinking for a change.
Right.
What a revolutionary concept.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. But I think anybody who's successful is going to have some baggage.
Sure.
That's why Obama has no baggage. He really hasn't been successful in anything that he's ever done, because he's never done anything.
Right.
But
and Clay, to your point, which I know you're concerned about, that these primaries are beating up and all that, one good point that was made to me recently that I agree with is that this opportunity is, if we keep pressing on, Romney has a couple sore spots with us, right? Mm-hmm. Healthcare, sure. Massachusetts healthcare. You keep pressing on him at some point, and I wish he'd do it now, and that would settle a lot of these primaries. Say, you know what? I was wrong. Right. I tried to do this in Massachusetts. In hindsight, it was wrong. It wasn't laid out right. It wasn't as bad as Obamacare, but it was still wrong. That would end this, I think. Mm-hmm. Really. Yep. We don't trust that he's going to get in there and do to Obamacare what the others have promised. Mm-hmm. And so if he did that, and maybe this pressure of the continual primaries will wear on him, and he'll see.
Well, and we have some great potential candidates for vice president as well, in Christie, in Rubio. Even Palin maybe could run for vice president again. I doubt she would, but Rubio seems to be a real positive choice, or even one of the other candidates that's running. Right.
There's a lot of we have a big field of Republicans, and again, once it's just Romney or Smith or Jones against Obama, all this nitpicking disappears on the Republican side. I'm sorry, I don't know a Republican who's going to say, I'm going to have to vote for Obama now.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
No. Well, who's going to be Obama's VP? There's been a lot of talk about Hillary.
Well, that's Cathy Abernathy quote 4 years ago that Joe Biden will not be on the next ticket because he's too old and unelectable to run next time. So why waste that spot when it's a good springboard to be president?
But he's such a bright guy. He could move right into the presidency.
And articulate.
Yeah.
And the Hillary folks have kept their campaign organization. They will tell you, and I know some of them in Washington, D.C., they do not say die yet. They're going. So the switch that's been rumored, which makes complete sense, Joe Biden could not be too embarrassed to go be Secretary of State. That's a very elegant position. And move her into Vice President. So we'll see.
Do you think that would help the ticket?
I think it would.
Yeah.
It would help Obama, yeah.
Our in-studio guests, Mark and Cathy Abernathy.
We wanted to touch on another subject, at least I did, unions. I mean, I know there's a value for unions, there's a place for unions, but unions have destroyed more businesses, not only here in Bakersfield, But also, maybe you saw the news recently where Hostess is just about ready to file bankruptcy for the second time in the last couple of years, all because of unions.
Well, for those of us, I'm not a Twinkie fan. When you say Hostess, I hope your listeners know that's the company that makes the Twinkies, and then they make the ones that I live by, are the chocolate ones with the swirl on top. They make those too. So
Wonder Bread.
My first goal is to call Bain and Company and say, get in there, because I don't want to not have those anymore. But it's what I've been hearing and learning about is it's not just about typical company. Maybe they make something that's so sweet and fat that they're not popular anymore. They're very popular, but the union agreements over the years have eroded the ability of that company to sustain itself, including to get more drivers hired. They say you can't put cupcakes and bread on the same truck, so that you have to have 2 half-filled trucks. Companies over time cannot sustain deals like that, and what happens with unions is they start getting greedy. Maybe there was a reason for it, but to go into that kind of deal where you're basically telling your company, pay more income, lose more ability to sustain this industry, that's the kind of stuff it does. They're paying pensions for people that they have never ever worked for a Hostess. Now, those kind of union deals, it's I believe it's a Teamster union there.
There's several unions there.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, actually, that's right. I heard they had 82 different or some huge amount, but 82 different health care plans that they have to administer because everybody came in with their piece. I say Teamsters because I was at Occupy Berkeley, and the students that were working it and getting paid had Teamster shirts on. They said, I don't know why it's Teamster, but that's who our employer is.
Were you a participant in Occupy Berkeley, or were you just a visitor?
I actually was there holding Shannon Grove's coat because she was right in the middle of it. And I'll tell you, they just looked at her wide-eyed because she knew more than they did about what they were even trying to talk about. It was very interesting. They were mostly sunbathing.
Cathy came in with the Tea Party. The Tea Party comes in to the Occupy areas and cleans up every night.
Right. That's why we were there.
In the trash cans, and sweeps it up and makes it.
The university professor used taxpayer monies up there, University Dean of UC Berkeley, to hire 2 nice buses to let these students or people go to San Francisco for the day to pick at Bank of America. I went on board that bus because they were waiting to load up. I said, hey, can we shop when we get there? And they were going to be like, I don't know. I mean, I knew it was just a game of paid people going so.
Yeah. Now we've got
and the teachers union in New York, certainly in New York City, and some of the others. The teachers union runs the kitchens and pays for the food. All the great food, the pizza.
For the occupiers.
For the occupiers, yeah.
We've got about 2.5 minutes left. We've got to have you guys back. Please, we have to have you back. But we want to talk about something that Shannon's doing, and you talked about it.
Well, Shannon and a whole lot of other people, along with Ted Costa, People's Advocate in Sacramento, and Ted was the proponent of Prop 13, the GAN initiative.
Ted Costa, not Jim Costa.
Not Jim Costa. Ted Costa, good, solid conservative in Sacramento, taxpayer fighter extraordinaire, wonderful man. You should have him on sometime as well. But Shannon is taking the lead with Ted to change this legislature. She's been there for a year. As she says, it took her about a month to see that it's hopeless, the setup there. It's designed to be a career and how to keep it going and how to keep state employee things going, and not about the citizens of California. So the solution is make them part-time, just like many other states, most other states, big states, Florida, Texas, states that aren't in the red, because they don't. All the legislators have to have a real job, and in this legislation, they'll have to have a real job because their pay is going to be cut about 85%, and they're going to be limited days, 2-year budget, and so you guys could still do your jobs, go up there a couple times a month. I mean, you don't need to go up there to read something you can read on the internet.
Sure.
Anyway. And do the job, come back and live under the rules you just created, which they don't do in that state capital. There's no overtime, there's no OSHA, there's no nothing up there. They always exempt themselves. And this initiative, if it gets enough signatures, and we'll start collecting them in a few weeks when it comes out of the Attorney General's office, will be on the November ballot where you could vote to break up this mess up there, this cabal, and have citizen legislators.
Even if we do pass this, there'll be some liberal judge that will defeat it.
Well, he may try, but when the voters, we just keep fighting.
We have a recall for judges that's available,
which we may have to use. We've got a couple seconds left. Is there a website that people can...
Citizen Legislature Now.
Oh, Citizen
Sorry, yeah.
Legislature
Yeah,
now.
CLN. Think of CLN, Citizen Legislature.
Clean.
No, not plural.
CLN. Clean.
Okay.
Citizens
Greenhouse.
Legislature Now.
Okay, great. Mark, Cathy, thank you very much. We would love to have you back.
Thank you.
Well, good to be here.
We'll see you in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.